Welcome to Money Making Conversations. I am your host, Rushion McDonald. Like I say every week in every episode, it's time to stop reading other people's success stories and start writing your own. People always talk about gifts and passions. If you have a gift, lead with your gift. And don't let your age, friends, or family, or co-workers for that matter, stop you from planning or living your dreams. My interviews that I provide on this show are for consumers and business owners, and you might hear me interview celebrities, CEOs, entrepreneurs, and people I like to call industry decision makers. My next guest is an industry decision maker. His name is Carlos King, one of my favorite people, and we've never met. He's an executive producer and founder of Kingdom Reign. Kingdom Reign, Reign. Kingdom Reign Entertainment. He is also known as the King of Reality TV. Carlos is one of the most sought after executive producers in reality TV. With over 10 years under his production belt, King, that's Carlos King, has quickly created a niche for himself in the docu-soap arena. He has produced high-profile programs such as 8 seasons of The Real Housewives of Atlanta, which we all know is a niche in itself. Season 25, Oprah Behind the Scenes. His production company, Kingdom Reign Entertainment, has created such shows as Style in Hollywood for Netflix, Love and Marriage, Huntsville, one of my favorite shows on Hollywood Divas, which from TV One, just to name a few. He recently, this I read about him, my boy, I read him in a Variety magazine, he a first look deal with OWN, when you get a Variety, they talking about you, they don't talk about money in Variety. No broke people appear in Variety unless it's in the back section. He was on the front section, he was on the front page where he would develop original unscripted series for their own network. I always tell people, how do you build your dreams? Well, let's find out how. Please welcome to Money Making Conversations, a return visit for the talented and brilliant one, Mr. Carlos King. How you doing, Carlos?
I'm well. Thank you so much for that great introduction.
Well, first of all, Carlos, watching your work is my introduction to the world because of the fact that we get to, for the first time, we see it. Now we can talk and find out how does that mind work, putting together these projects because you're dealing with people's lives, and it's really impactful. In some ways, these are unscripted. And so you have to kind of like set the scene. Like I think Larry David on HBO kind of has an unscripted show where people walk in, they kind of set up the scene, but that's from a comedy perspective. So you know that direction. So you could be throwing some curves when you're developing these shows. So talk about the process to my viewers and listeners in the world of reality.
Yeah, well, again, thanks for having me. And no, it is true. When you're dealing with real people and you're producing a reality show, it's very challenging because you really are following the reality of their life. And oftentimes that means the good, the bad, and the ugly. And that's the reason why my shows are so relatable, is because we don't orchestrate anything out of drama's sake.
Right.
We do such a fantastic job at the company to where we truly immerse ourselves into the lives of our talent. And because it's such bravery and courage for anybody to say, I want to lay cameras inside my household and into my life, that's a privilege I don't take for granted. So because we have to constantly make sure that the mental health of these people are stable enough to really handle the conversation they're having on camera, and then deal with the after effects of it when social media involves themselves. So it is very challenging to produce. When you're doing a scripted show, you have an actor,
Right.
they're playing a character, they get paid to say what you wrote, and they get paid to do the action that you directed. So it's much easier in that sense, where in my case, I have to follow real people who have real issues and real story. And because I'm so sensitive to them, I make sure that we all work together to put on a good show.
Well, one of the bigger storylines was out of the Love and Marriage Huntsville. Like I said, when you're talking about you're scripted and you're talking about this is not part of because all these when the story because I just recently interviewed Kimmy and Maurice Scott, fantastic couple. First time I interviewed them, and they were just saying they were all friends. And that's how Melody came to them with this great idea about the show and Martell, and they all got together and they shot about 3 pilots with you before it was finally picked up. And along the way of this success, this unexpected drama comes out which is reality. You're a reality show. So guess what? You can't change what happens because it's real, and that was the relationship breakup of Melody and Martell. From a crisis management, how do you look at that, and how did you kind of like hold it together respectfully and not try to exploit it?
Great question, because there's a fine line within that. And the main thing that I did that a lot of other reality producers don't do is I asked permission
Yes.
first. I said, hey, because you're telling me this is what you're going through, are you comfortable sharing that on camera? Because my job is to follow the real. And
Right.
what would be so unfortunate is if the entire town knows about this infidelity and you're on TV pretending you're in a great marriage, you are going to lose in the end, because when people watch reality TV, they want to see authenticity. So the permission that I asked Melody and Martell was, if you trust me to handle this story with tender love and care, I promise you, you will come out of this never feeling exploited. And at the end of the day, you, courtesy of being transparent, you're going to affect a lot of Black households who are dealing with this issue, and they will look to you as to what to do right and what to do wrong.
Right.
And all of a sudden, you're going to become the voice of this topic.
And the voice of this topic becomes, Melody. She's come out of this as a mom entrepreneur, powerful, strong, look fantastic. And sometimes when I look at the show, I look at Martell confused. This is me talking. Angry, don't know the direction he wants to go with his life. And so you as a producer, you see these things happening. Do you give advice, or do you just let it play off and say, this is what we're going to do? Are you comfortable with what we're going to do? Or do you ever offer advice to the individuals who are playing out these real life characters, Carlos?
Yeah, I do a little bit of both. So primarily, I follow the reality of what they're going through.
Yes, sir.
Because what I like for my audience to see, again, is the authenticity of someone dealing with pain and joy, right? So when you watch the show and you see Martell struggling with life after divorce,
yes,
I think a lot of Black men, specifically Black men, and they may have stepped outside of their marriage and their wives leave them, they struggle with the realization that my infidelity ruined this relationship that I adored, and who am I outside of being married to this woman who we were a partner in all of this. And I think you're seeing some regret on Martell's behalf. And as a Black man producing this show, I cannot sit back, watch this man go through this pain and not offer some sort of advice to help him heal. So I definitely have had numerous conversations with Martell, most recently 2 weeks ago, because I love them all and I want to make sure that at the end of the day, they're okay.
We will be right back with more money-making conversations with your host, Rushion McDonald. Welcome back to Money Making Conversations with your host, Rushion McDonald.
Well, the thing about it is that you said it earlier about social media, because that's one of the biggest curses and benefits of modern day success, But in reality TV, it can be even worse because unlike a script, you're just playing a character. That's my character. They told me to write that, Where a reality show, how does social media work for you? And how do you tell a talent? Because they are talents, whether they play themselves or not, they are talent. How do you recommend to talent that's playing out a life that they can go to the grocery store and she really is Martell? She really is Kimmy. He really is Maurice. She really is Tisha. All these people are going to the grocery store being themselves. So social media can be very painful. In the world of social media, do you encourage them to do social media, or that's their own thing? You walk away. They grown people. They deal with it where they have to deal with it.
I discourage them from reading the comments on social media.
Yeah.
I think you have to use social media what it's for, and that's engagement.
Yes, sir.
And that is promoting whatever vehicle you have to get the word out. And once you post, you leave.
Right.
You don't stay on there, read the comments, because what I've learned through social media, and I love social media, but I learned this. The meanest comments get the most reaction. So it's a game that people on social media are playing in terms of how can I trump this comment so that mine can get the most traction. And in order to do that, you have to get meaner and nastier.
Yes.
And that can really affect someone's mental health. So I tell my reality stars, do not read the comments,
Right.
because it will ruin your day.
Yes, it will not only remain and ruin your life if you just keep reading that feed on a daily basis. But it all started somewhere else for you. We just talk about the current success. When did you realize, how did you get into the game? You know, we've had this conversation before. We have new listeners and new viewers, but I want to talk, because everybody wants to do what you do, Carlos, okay? But again, you have a gift. And I tell people, you know, I was a sitcom writer, and believe me, there were more talented sitcom writers than me. And I could tell there was a difference between, just like there's a difference between a Michael Jordan and a player who was drafted in the first round. Their talents, and you have that special gift, that certain eye. What makes you so special? And I'm not saying that in a negative way, but obviously you see things different, Carlos. Why and how was it introduced to you when you first got into reality television?
Because I was a kid who was sort of a nerd.
Right.
Growing up in Detroit, I would watch endless hours of television, which included everything from the Oprah Winfrey Show to the local news I'm a kid watching Dateline NBC. Like I was a student of people. I was a student of character. I was a student of knowledge. And because of that, I thought I would become a psychologist, because I just love to get in the minds of people and really understand their behavior. Mm-hmm. So because I had all of that education growing up, when I decided to major in journalism in college and minor in psychology, I took both gifts that I had of journalism and psychology and applied it to what I do today. So when I got an internship at BET, I just started to really climb the ladder, and I got a job there. And I got offered to do a reality show because my friends in the business knew that I loved reality TV. Mm-hmm. And the first reality show I was offered, funny enough, was The Real Housewives of Atlanta. Mm-hmm. It was a brand new show in 2008. And it was my first foray into reality. So when you talk about a gift, I think it's the gift of the fact that I studied people. Mm-hmm. So I know people, I know behavior, and I know a star within 5 seconds of talking to them.
Awesome. But also, let's talk about reality coming into it, because there was a lot of negative about being that reality game. You know, it wasn't real. It was cheesy. It was offensive. A lot of the shows were really aggressive. Also showed black women in a very negative light. So how did you, being a guy who's a fan of reality TV, did you have a vision, Carlos, when you came on board to say, I'm not going to do that type of reality TV. This is why I want to approach it. Talk about that whole approach of organizing that thought process.
When I got my start in reality TV, again, my first show was The Real Housewives of Atlanta. And obviously that was a very entertaining show. They had a lot of arguments and big fights and things like that. Mm-hmm. Because that show wasn't produced by a company that I started, I was a worker bee who followed the guidelines of how to produce that particular show.
Yes, sir.
And the moment I became the executive producer of that show, a shift happened in my thought of, let's make it less about these cat fights and more about what's happening inside the households of these people. So that the season that I became the executive producer is the highest rated season of that show to date. The moment that happened is when I decided to start my company, Kingdom Rank Entertainment, because I did have a consciousness of saying, I know a lot of Black people who want to do reality TV, but they think they have to sell their soul and have a physical altercation to make that happen. And I wanted to be the alternative to that. So when you watch Love and Marriage Huntsville, for example, you see these beautiful Black people who are successful that's only showing you what really is happening in their lives, in their households. And that show has become the #1 show on the network. And there has not been a physical altercation on that show. So that proves to people when you build something that is true to you, people will come.
Well, it was one that came close. Well, I believe when Martell was on the patio with Melody, and he told her why he cheated on her because she and she threw something at him. Come on, Carlos. Boy.
No, look.
Carlos, I had to shock y'all. That scared y'all, did you? Carlos, that scared y'all.
No, you are accurate. So was very telling about that moment.
Carlos said, "This boy watched my show."
Fact that you don't tell no Black woman
come on now
what another woman does better. That's what I got from it. And I think a lot of men watched that show and said, "I'm gonna keep my mouth shut."
Dude, Carlos, when he said that, I was like, "Are you kidding me, dude? Are you really kidding me?" In front of friends, cameras are rolling, and you gonna say this to Melody, and she's not going to react on this show. I saw that, man. When if I you know when you growing up, Carlos, your parents will pop you in the back of the head. They should have popped. So you should have came out of the audience. You should have came out in front of the camera and say, Martell, I'm about to do something that your parents did to you when you was a kid. I'm going to pop you in the back of your big, dumb head. I laughed so hard, but I also felt so bad because I went, dude, that was uncalled for. But that's the closest you've come on that show because she threw something, I swear to you, she threw it for real. She threw it in for real.
She has good aim. I'll say that.
Well, the beauty of you, Carlos, is that Oprah Winfrey. You said it earlier in your conversation that you watched her growing up, and I'm gonna just share an example. I mean, sometimes when you get in a position, you meet stars, and you kind of like pull back a little bit. You feel like in the rain, I don't really belong here. This really happening to me, and then you realize, hey, stop all that ignorance. It is happening to you because your work has put you there. It's happening to you because the respect has put you there. It's happening to you because you're supposed to be there. When did all that come into you? Because I know we share similar qualities. We both are humble. I come from a nerdy background, and some people, I tell people I was shy. They look, you were never shy. Well, yes, I was, Yes, I was. And so I just had to fight through it and then realize that my opinion mattered. If my opinion matters, then you have to tell people what your opinion is. And that's who you are.
We will be right back with more money-making conversations with your host, Rashawn McDonald. Welcome back to Money Making Conversations with your host, Rashawn McDonald.
Well, the interesting thing when I listen to you talk, and everything's a journey, and you know that, Carlos, because we all dream, we all hope, we pray, but it's the work ethic, and then it's what you've been given, because each network has a different budget. A lot of people, you would love to think you work with the same budget on TV One or Netflix or OWN or BET. They all have different budget, but you still have to deliver a first-class project. So how do you work with the budgets that are given to you, and then how do you assess how do your staff and do you call in favors sometimes? Take care of you on this end, come take care of me on this. How does that work? Because building your brand is about relationships. I know that for a fact, and relationships have helped me when I've transitioned in my career. Relationships are helping you, but now you're the guy who you're the hit maker now. You're the hit maker. So people expect you to get. When they come to you to get paid. So those little requests, they actually want, hey man, I remember me when I took care of you. So how does that work with you? Because now you have a first look deal with OWN, and that qualifies you as that's the ultimate, man. When somebody say, look, we're just going to give you a deal to create shows. And that's the blessing of your journey. So talk about that when it was approached to you, and what was the first thoughts that ran through your mind when OWN said, here's a first look deal for you and your company, Kingdom Reign Entertainment?
it was magical because my company became what we call in the business a full service production company, which means that the buck stops here.
Yes.
We don't have a co-production with another, like everything begins and ends with Kingdom Reign Entertainment. So to have that within the first year of launching the company is nothing but God's favor on my life. So I needed that in order to show the marketplace, right? That I am the little engine that could. This Black man who owns his own company has the respect of Oprah Winfrey of saying, I want you to create shows for my network. So when you talk about budgets with other networks, yeah, you have to definitely, rob Peter to, get Paul and all those things because, you have to use what's given to you. And that can be challenging. And yes, you have to call in favors from people who you kind of grew up with in the business. Like you said, relationships are key. So I had to do that.
Well, the beauty of you, my friend, is this. You're mastering the world I can't do. And that's a good thing because, like I say, that means you're creating a brand. And all the years of working with different projects, which one challenged you the most? I'm talking about not a negative challenge, but production-wise and creatively. And you went, wow, that was a lot of work, man, but I'm glad I got it done. Which project of all the projects you've done that really pushed you creatively and really test your personality and your sanity? I think I said that right. I think I got it really right so you can say a good response, okay?
That was good. I had a show on BET called BET Presents the Encore. Last week we had our season finale.
Absolutely.
And that was the most challenging show to date of my career because it was a house reality show. And we had 30 days to shoot a show 24/7 for 30 days of these former girl group members living in a house together to form a super group. And you're dealing with personalities and music. And again, it's around the clock for 30 days. And that pushed me to a place that I didn't know existed in terms of my brain having the capacity to handle this.
Right.
And it was such a good gift to have because it allowed me to want to push things further in the shows I'm producing.
Well, the interesting thing about it, because you were dealing with some level of frustration with talent, who felt that they should be bigger or felt that they were wrong, and they see this, and some of them say yes to doing things, but don't want to do the work.
Right.
That's the part that frustrates you. Well, why are you here then? Well, why are you wasting my time? I'm not going to curse, but why are you wasting my time? That's the part that makes you mad, okay? You knew what you were signing up for. Now you got an attitude, okay? But the thing that really came into play is COVID. You had to produce all these shows under these conditions of testing and multiple testing, and the beauty of seeing what Tyler Perry did, he kind of like wrote the template, buy a compound and put a hotel on it. You know what I'm saying? And then imprison your cast for 2 weeks and then send them home. Work them 24 hours a day and send them home. Wrap 24 episodes. And so, with that being the case, how did it affect your production, and what did you gain from it as a producer, Carlos?
Listen, safety is first when you're dealing with a global pandemic. So yes, we have to do multiple testing. Thankfully, everyone was negative, and we were able to make sure that our cast and crew was safe for all the productions we have going on at Kingdom Reign Entertainment. So that was the greatest thing about it as well. But no, it allowed everybody to know that there is a necessity for unscripted in this business.
Yes.
Because my counterparts in scripted did not have the right to do this because it was such an expensive fee.
Right.
So unscripted we did.
Now, with that being said, my friend, a hit show, when you do these, this is my only favor I ask, man. Whenever you do these rap shows or the end of the season show, just consider your boy as one of your hosts. I'll come on in, man. You got to first look there. Just consider the man in the suit. Well, you know,
I got you, brother.
Who watch your shows, Carlos. I come in and host it, man. I know everybody in the cast. They know me, and we do our thing.
They do, and they love you, by the way.
Oh, thank you. But I just want to tell you, man, I respect you, man. One day we will meet. But the beauty of what you do, man, I so respect, and it's just the quality of work and seeing you make this transition, because at one time reality was a bad thing. It was a bad thing. It was a very negative thing, and you've turned it with your skill, with your eye, and forced other people to follow your lead. Thank you, Carlos, for doing that.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Appreciate it. If you want to hear or see any of my interviews, especially the one I'm doing with Carlos King, please go to moneymakingconversation.com. I'm Rushion McDonald. I am your host.